I've got the block on the chuck, and the first thing we're going to do is add a tenon, that little dovetail thingy at the end. And the reason for this, as you can see right now, it's just hugging the whole block, which means there's a lot of material we can't actually access. By creating a tenon, we're only losing that 1/4 inch instead of the whole inch here that's being hidden. So you add the tenon, flip it over, and so once I've got it on, I'm flipping it over, and now the chuck is holding on to the tenon, and we can continue on. In this section, I'm just going to get it round, and some of the resin is going to fly up and keep hitting the camera. I don't notice it right away, but once I do notice it, from there on out, I keep blowing on the camera, so you shouldn't have too much more of a problem with this. So right here, I'm pointing out that the resin did not completely fill the cup. So I'm deciding, do I want to make this smaller, just keep going down until we've cleared that? Or do I want to leave it in place and leave an interesting feature to the jar? And I kind of want to leave it in place. The thing about art is very often letting nature have a strong say in it. And it just adds to the beauty and the uniqueness of it all. Sadly, when I'm done, there's not that much left. But you know, it's the idea. You're getting the idea. Next, we're going to be working on the handle for the lid. And sadly, because of the way my camera's set up, you can't see it straight on. So you're not actually seeing the handle I'm working on, and that sucks, and I'm sorry. I know that the part where I'm working on the lid is kind of boring because you're watching nothing happen. You don't see it. This is sadly where I spend the majority of my time because this is the part that's going to have the most shape. And then after that, it's just whiz, whiz, whiz. You'll notice I get my tool right close to that metal, but I do leave that tiny little gap because I do not want the metal of my tool hitting the metal of the chuck because, well, obviously one of them is going to get damaged. So keep in mind, I am leaving that tiny little bit of a gap. Now I've outlined where I want the lid to be parted, and from here on out I just need to make sure everything is polished and cleaned because once I do separations, well, you know how that goes. So I'm also going to go back and try to make, because you see how I came at an angle and I'm trying to like taper it down. Then I realized there's going to be more of a gap where the lid is separated because you're going to lose material. But I don't want the lid to be bigger and then all of a sudden the container to be smaller where they meet. So I'm going to try and flush out that tiny little bit of an area so that it's still level when I take out that material. Now I'm removing the lid and I'm using my sawtooth, which later I kind of regret. I should have just used a parting tool. But I chose the sawtooth because it visibly looks thinner, but because the teeth are fanned out, because that's how teeth are to make a good cut, it does have a little bit of a kickback. And now to hollow it out, when you're not experienced in hollowing out jars or containers, you really want to avoid it. So I'm showing you here using a Forstner bit, and that's all we're going to do. We're going to use the big one, but because I've got it tapered, after that I'm going to switch to a slightly smaller one. And because I do have a bit of experience hollowing out, I will use a tool to smooth it out. I would not recommend that for you guys yet. Just not taper and use two different sizes. And now I'm going to create a tiny little ridge on the inside lip for the sticky outy part is the technical term, I think, of the lid to rest in. And that way the two pieces marry each other beautifully. And here's the tool I should have used right from the beginning to part it, the parting tool. And ta-da!